Nerdrotic.com.
Welcome, travelers, to the fringes of reality, where the strange and mysterious meet, and the thin veil between fact and fiction is torn. Welcome to the Forbidden Frontier.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to a very special episode of Forbidden Frontier, where Garrett is asleep. Garrett's asleep, right?
I assume he's up late.
He was up late. Adam's with the baby. So it's me and X-Ray Girl. And we're going to go over, up until Real BBC, we're going to go over the Dog and Pony Show, the circus, the complete theater that will be a, what is this called now? It is called Restoring Public Trust, UAP Transparency and Whistleblower Protection. Now, I have promised to cover all these UFO hearings, so let's get this clear. Fuck UAP. That is a deep state term that is marketing that somehow tries to destigmify this phenomenon. You shouldn't fuck that. That's like being ashamed of being called a nerd. Screw it. It's a UFO. It's an unidentified flying object. That is what it's always been. That's always what I'm going to call it. It's a UFO. And one of the first people to say the term UAP was Hillary Clinton. So that's why I'm not going to say it. Other people will say it, and that's fine. But we're gonna go over this hearing today. But before we even greet anybody, let's take care of business. This Dog and Pony Show is brought to you by Venice AI. Alexis listens to us and recommends products based on our conversations. Meta uses our information based on our browsing and engagement history. Poor Ryan. To sell to other companies. Why do we assume AI is going to be any different? Well, because it won't. If you've used any of the leading AI apps, right, Chad? Have you probably been censored at some point, even for harmless questions or requests? I don't know. I don't use AI that much, but I'm sure people have pushed it to its limits. There is a strange double standard today where anyone can go online and search any topic, see relatively unfiltered results. With Venice AI, it lets you use AI without handing over your sensitive information and with features like, I can read, it's a little early. Messages are encrypted and your conversation history is stored only in your browser. AI can be extremely valuable, but well, not according to some people, but we shouldn't need to give up our privacy to use it. Venice utilizes leading open source AI models to deliver text, code, and image generation to your web browser. There are no downloads, no installations of anything. The Pro plan unlocks the full platform and features, including PDF files, uploads for summaries or insights, the ability to turn off safe mode for unhindered image generation, the ability to change how Venice interacts with you and by modifying the system prompt, limitless text, and high image limits. If you want to use AI without fear of handing over your most trusted thoughts to a corporation or a government that we're going to be covering here in just a second, you can get 20% off your Pro plan by using my link, Venice.ai/Nerdrotic and code Nerdrotic, or check out the link below in the description. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Greetings, Fire Jazz and Az's Wonky Eyebrow and Sporking News Podcast and Mr. Bentham. I'm so happy to see your normal names in the chat.
Yeah, it was the @ symbol for a while there.
And now it's going back and forth. which should be a sign of how well the AI is working on YouTube.
Oh yeah. Well, and I learned about the whole safe mode today. What's it called?
Oh, restricted mode.
Restricted mode.
Yeah. My partner manager actually just got back to me this morning, and we're going to chat about that briefly. Some people are saying it's just been turned on for them. It's normally turned off. Like nobody uses it. It's for libraries and schools. That's basically what it's for. So the argument is that once the AI rolled out, that it might have flipped the switch on a lot of people.
For some people, which I mean, almost all my videos are unsafe apparently.
Yeah. So I checked mine, and of my recent videos, like my Superman review is missing. That makes no sense at all. But you know, it's never made any sense at all. But also 6 months of Friday Night Tights is missing.
I mean, I'm not surprised about that
I'm
given
not
what we
surprised
talk
about that at all. But it's funny. It's like the last person who had a safe FNT 6 months ago was Gundam.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here we go. It's open.
It's starting.
It's on.
It's starting. Yep. Oh, she looks good.
Starting on time.
Kind of. They're 5 minutes late. That's similar to you.
Here,
Do you want to share it or shall I?
Gosh.
Okay.
I can hear them in my
ears.
In my ears.
Representative Titus of Nevada and Representative Moskowitz of Florida.
They also turned off the chat.
I recognize myself for
It
the
did?
purpose of making opening statement.
Chat's disabled.
Good morning and welcome to the hearing regarding UAP disclosures. For too long, the issue of unidentified anomalous phenomena, commonly known as UAPs, has been shrouded in secrecy,
UFOs.
stigma, and in some case, outright dismissal. Today, I want to state
Well,
clearly that this is
there's a
not
reason
science
for that.
fiction or creating speculation. This is about national security, government accountability, and the American people's right to the truth. I've spoken now to a number of whistleblowers from the military, to include the infamous Eglin Air Force Base incident that occurred when myself and former Representative Matt Gaetz, as well as Representative Burchett, followed up on a lead from multiple active duty Air Force pilot whistleblowers that alleged that the United States Air Force was covering up UAP activity at Eglin Air Force Base. We have heard from a number of whistleblowers, specifically military pilots, that the reason for not coming forward publicly is out of fear that speaking out would cost them their flight status and potentially their careers. This is unacceptable. We cannot protect our airspaces if our best trained observers are silenced. We cannot advance science if we refuse to ask questions. And we cannot maintain trust in government if we keep the American people in the dark. Now, Congress has tried to fix this problem. Congress tried to create formal channels through the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, also known as AARO, and the Intelligence Community Inspector General for service members and officials to make disclosures. But the reality, the reports come in are often to brush aside, slow-walked, or met with skepticism rather than serious investigation. Recently, the former AARO director, known as Sean Kilpatrick, attacked our witnesses and members on this committee. It should be noted that he's a documented liar and brings into question what his purpose at AARO really was if it was not to follow up on investigations and disclose his findings to members of Congress.
Among others.
A former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence, Chris Mellon, described a report published by AARO that found no evidence that any USG investigation, academic-sponsored research, or official review panel has confirmed any sighting of UAP-represented extraterrestrial technology. As the most error-ridden and unsatisfactory government report I can recall reading during after decades of government service.
I'd never make it in Congress reading all this shit.
Mellon further noted that this was a first error report submitted to Congress without the Director of National Intelligence's sign-off, and seemingly excluded input from any scholars or experts who have studied or written extensively about this topic, as would normally be in any other case in this field. Mellon determined that this report failed to fulfill the congressional mandate under which it was required, omitted entire agencies with known investigations or activities related to UAPs, and omitted any discussion of efforts to hide classified or unclassified information about UAP. Such efforts were unaddressed by the report, despite the existence of agency records and investigations concurring with them, including those at U.S. Customs and Border Protection. If we set up offices and oversight bodies only to let them become graveyards for testimony or worse yet, ruses for pretending to investigate when in actuality there was no follow-up, then we are not doing our jobs. In recent months, Congress has also been presented with evidence that points to technologies that, to our knowledge, are beyond our current capabilities.
We've all
It
heard
is
this
our
before.
duty as elected representatives to
preamble.
follow the facts wherever they lead and to ensure that those facts are not buried under classification stamps or bureaucratic
Or a
excuses.
skiff.
Let me be clear. Whether
How many times are we
UAPs
gonna hear the
represent
word skiff
adversarial
today?
technology, natural phenomena, or something beyond current human understanding, Congress has a responsibility to investigate. If these objects are foreign in origin, then they pose a direct threat to our national security. And if they represent something unknown, they demand rigorous scientific inquiry,
they're
not
ours,
ridicule,
they're
not
a
secrecy,
threat
and not
to the
silence.
American
The
people.
stakes are very high. Adversarial nations are not waiting for us to catch up. They are studying these phenomena as well aggressively, as multiple nations have also announced their own parliamentary investigations into this very topic. If we are to continue to hide information from ourselves, we risk strategic surprise. If we continue to ignore our pilots and service members, as well as countless government whistleblowers, we risk losing their trust. And if we continue to shield the truth from the public, we risk eroding the very foundation of democratic accountability. This is why this hearing matters.
Eroding.
This is not about fueling speculation. This is about
Eroding.
demanding the
Trust you,
basic
Daddy.
transparency
It's
for the Department of
dust.
Defense and the intelligence community and other military contractors.
Democratic
It is about asking
accountability.
the questions every American has the right to ask. What do we know? What don't we know? And why in a free society are we being told so little? A major barrier to this committee's inquiry into UAPs has been the lack of cooperation and transparency from the Department of Defense and the
Early and
intelligence
straight.
community.
Listen,
In preparation for previous
You have
UAP
to admit,
hearings, the committee
it's really
repeatedly
good
asked
to
the
put a
Department
really
of
hot
Defense to allow
chick
members
out
to
in front
view
of this because
videos
more
and
people are
files
going to pay
related to
attention.
UAP
All right,
incidences.
so
Oh, yeah.
10 out of 10 for
Unfortunately, the
that.
Department of Defense notified the committee staff that due to the department's special access program rules, only members of the House Armed Service Committee, as well as the Defense Subcommittee on House Appropriations, also known as HAC-D, were allowed to be read in onto such programs. For a non-committee member to be allowed to view these documents and videos, individual members must be approved by the chairman and ranking member of both HASC and HAC-D.
Oh, I will.
Independent SAP oversight has presented a consistent problem for Congress as well as program budgets are classified. Additionally,
You're
oversight
going to use
reporting to
all these
Congress is
anagrams
classified
like
and only
SCIF and
provided to the
SAP and
authorizing and
NAACP
appropriations
and all this
committees of
other
jurisdiction.
bullshit, right?
The American people are not fragile. They do not need to be shielded like children from reality.
It is
What they
creating
cannot
layers
tolerate and
of
what they will not
protection
forgive is a
and
government
more
that withholds
layers
the
of
truth and
protection. That's how
punishes
the
those who
government, the
dare to
biggest
speak up.
corporation, the biggest gang in the world
I want to
protects
close with
itself.
this.
They use
Future
confusion.
generations will look back at this moment
They use
and ask what we
confusion
did
and
was
incompetence.
presented with
The
unknown.
incompetence of the
Did we look
government
away
is a
and bear still
shield for the
afraid, or
deep
did we
state and
pursue the
always
truth
has been.
in
People
heroic
go, the
courage?
government's too stupid to keep
I
a
intend
secret.
to
No, they're
alongside the
not.
truth
There's some
and
very
courage and
smart
pretending.
people
accountability, and I hope
surrounded by a
Congress
bunch of
task force will
retards,
be able
and
to
it
do the same.
it gives them
To
plausible
quote a few
deniability. They
elected
go,
officials,
look at all these
Senators unanimously
retards.
stated,
You know, that's
You
what they
say there's
do.
a retard shield.
crisis over
It's a
UFOs.
retard shield.
Oh
Senator
my
Rounds
gosh.
stated these are brilliant
But it's true.
individuals, and they're not
It's
making this stuff
absolutely
up.
true.
And our
So
current Secretary of State,
I think there
Marco
are
Rubio, has
people,
stated very high clearances and high
you know,
positions within
the
our
way they went
government when
after
it comes
David
to these,
Grush, I kind of like,
whistleblowers.
I wasn't believing
Senator
him.
McConnell
And then I
also
started believing him when they
described these
tried to
whistleblowers as staying incredible.
crush this
And
guy's
the
life.
witnesses today
There's
Yeah.
others I
in fact, they're
completely
far
don't
from it.
believe.
In fact, 34 senior
I'm
military government
like,
and intelligent officials
Lou
have
Elizondo
broken
is
their
not
silence.
somebody.
This includes
His job was
now
misinformation
Secretary
in
of
the
State Marco
government.
Rubio,
You know,
Senator Rounds, Senator Gillibrand,
when he was over in
General Jen
Iraq and stuff, he
Clapper,
was
the former director
supposed
of
to
the
sow
government-
the seeds of
government's
dissent
UAP task
amongst the
force, former
fucking
head of
caliphates or
aviation
clans or whatever the
security
fuck's over
for the
there.
White House
So
National
yeah, I'm not
Security
going to believe
Council,
that. And it's going to take a
former
long time for
Secretary of
me to
Defense, and many more.
earn any trust, if
Again,
any, from that.
to
Plus,
quote
he's fucked
Senator
up a lot.
Secretary of
Showing
State Rubio
UFO
in an
photos
upcoming
that
documentary
clearly
known as Age
aren't
of Disclosure,
UFOs.
even
They're
presidents have been
shadows,
operating on an
or
need-to-know
they're
basis
just
that begins to spin out of control.
it's in
And to quote
farmland. You
Senator
have those little
Gillibrand,
circles that like
who
it's
also
it.
went public in this documentary.
It
It's
was
not acceptable to have secret
embarrassing.
parts of this government
So
that
they've
no one
done
ever sees.
themselves a lot
fact,
of
for the
harm,
fundamental
a lot
truths
of harm.
UAPs to be real
Ufology,
to our
the
nation's
study
leaders
of it.
and the
We've
public.
lost,
It's time for U.S. government to exercise
we've lost so many
transparency.
OGs who are
And with that, I yield
respectful,
to Ranking Member
and
Crockett
there's a
for
lot of
closing
charlatans.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. At a
Speaking
time
of
increasing
charlatans,
distrust in government, it is important for Congress to take action to restore the government's credibility. Bringing transparency.
you know how
to
you
an
restore
issue
the
of great
government's
public interest is a
credibility?
step
Get rid of you,
towards
Miss
doing just
Crockett.
that. So I thank Chairwoman Luna for calling this bipartisan hearing to discuss unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAP, which
UFO.
is today's term for what was commonly known as UFOs, unidentified flying objects. And while some people think of flying saucers when they hear these terms, it is vital that we focus on the real world impact of UAPs on critical infrastructure, civilian safety, and national security. There is good reason to believe that most UAPs have origins far closer to home.
Maybe we should put some
Currently,
UFOs over
NASA
Chicago.
has not found any evidence that any UAPs have an extraterrestrial origin. Our adversaries are working to develop new capabilities to gain
No, they're
military
extra dimensional.
advantages, and those
They're us
efforts
from
are
the future.
likely
They're us from another
explanation for
dimension.
the mysteries that we have observed. Nevertheless, the federal government has a responsibility to the American people to investigate and provide transparent disclosures about every incident. The federal government is equally obligated to protect those who report what they've seen.
That is true, chat.
Especially to commanding
Chicago
officers and
Airport UFO
supervisors.
is one
And
of the more
Congress should do
credible
everything in its
sightings
power
of the
to
last
protect whistleblowers
2
and
decades.
conduct oversight of agencies that are failing to provide that protection. Democracy depends on transparency, and transparency
Oh yeah.
often
Democracy
relies on the
depends on
courage of
transparency. You
individuals
guys are so
willing
fucking
Yeah.
to
transparent.
risk their careers, reputations, and in some cases, their personal safety to tell the truth. So I look forward to hearing from the witnesses today. We should welcome their
I have no
accounts
idea
and
who the
acknowledge
witnesses are, by the
bravery
way.
they have shown to
Uh,
come before us. We must
I guess we'll
ensure
find out soon.
that all
Hopefully.
We'll find
whistleblowers
out.
feel
Hopefully,
that they
you
can
know,
come to
and
Congress to tell their stories without fear of retaliation.
This
or
preamble is so
professional
long.
consequences.
it's so
No.
long. It's like,
We need
okay, whatever. We need transparency, blah, blah, blah. So
You keep repeating the same thing.
I think chat, you're absolutely right. And I don't like, we're covering this. I have a show on this. I've been in this topic my entire life. I fully believe there are we are not alone in the universe. We are not alone in the multiverse. Sorry to say that, comic fans out there. We're not alone. We're not alone. And these could be, I forgot what the term is. These could be people who or beings that live here and have before us. I don't know. I don't know. I just know that the phenomenon is real. I know there's been sightings for thousands of years. I know that most of them we see now are bullshit. And the sad thing is with AI and most sightings we're going to get in the future are probably going to be absolute bullshit. That's why I'm going back into the past and I'm buying older books. And that's where we're going to see, I guess, the only thing that could possibly pass as a real sighting if there's another Phoenix Lights and there's thousands of people recording from different angles, the same thing. That's the only fucking way. I don't think disclosure is coming from the government. Fuck the government. And even if it did, okay, if Trump came out and said, hey, I'm here with Gliorb of the Gliorb race, and he wants to say hi to everybody, and it's a little gray going, hey, what's up? Got a MAGA hat on. Nobody's going to fucking believe it because it comes from Trump. And the same, like if Biden came out, it's an op, like nobody's going to, half the country is not going to believe it anyway. It has to come from us. It has to come from real people. It would have to be something like a Phoenix Light that happens where it wakes people up. But, and the government might tell us someday. They might. The only realistic thing I would take from the government is they came out and said, yeah, we have some tech. And say, sure, of course you have. You've had it for years. You've been reverse engineering it for years. And Hal Puthoff was on Joe Rogan 2 months ago, and he mentioned a very logical reason why they haven't told us. I don't agree with it, but it's logical. And it's third-party contractors, basically. It's contractors who are competing contractors who have bid to reverse engineer certain points of technology. They're in competition with each other, and they have proprietary information that they're not going to share that gets lost in this third-party contract. So that's why we're never going to get disclosure. And I was like, okay. I mean, I fucking hate that, but it makes sense. It makes sense.
Gotta look at the witnesses.
Okay. George Knapp.
I was going to say, right in the middle.
Personal capacity
Fan of
today
Trump.
and not on behalf of the United States Navy. Next, I would like to recognize the gentlewoman from Nevada, Representative Titus.
Chief
Thank you
Wiggins,
very
George
much, Madam
Knapp.
Chairman, ranking members, for allowing me to sit with you on this panel today. I'm honored to be able to introduce
Oh
a
my God.
witness here who is from my district, George Knapp, who has been the definitive expert and reporter on this topic that you're exploring today, UAPs or UFOs. George is a longtime friend, I would say that up front, but a very respected journalist and a recognized expert in this field nationally and internationally. Just a little something about George. He came to Las Vegas in 1979 and joined the KLS television station
So this
as
is
a
the
general
part that
assignment
wastes
reporter
the
in
taxpayers' time.
1981. Since 1995, he's been the
All
chief
you have to do is say he's a
investigative
reporter from Las
for
Vegas
that
and one of the
channel.
leading
He
reporters on
also
UFOs. The
hosts a
first
national radio show you can
first
listen
to interview
on
Bob
Coast to Coast
Lazar.
AM,
He
which
was brought
covers
on
many of the
Art
paranormal
Bell,
topics that
and then
y'all
he
are
was brought
discussing.
on George
Over.
Norrie. He does Coast to Coast, I think, on Saturday nights, and he's quite frankly better than George Norrie. His night of doing it's glazing. It's wasting.
It's padding for sure.
Yeah, I think most people have heard of George Knapp at this point. The guy's a G.
Reporting. Indeed, he has told Nevada's story with clarity, with objectivity, and with integrity. So
If I
know
understand,
that his
these speakers
testimony
have like
today is going to be
2-3
of
minutes
great
to speak each
interest
time,
and
and so they
value
try
this
to
committee. So
take the
thank you
whole
very
time,
much.
right?
Next, we
With these
have
hearings?
Mr. Dylan
Okay.
Borland. Mr.
Yeah, I
Borland
mean,
is
we
a
could
United
hear
States
from
Air Force
them
veteran
more.
and has a long career
If we
in
used our
federal
time
service.
wisely.
Finally, I'd like to
So who's
introduce
Mr. Borland?
Mr. Joe Spielberger, a senior policy counsel at the Project of Government Oversight. Pursuant to Committee Rule 9G, the witnesses will
Spielberger.
please stand and raise their right hand.
I don't like Spielbergers. What's up, Scott?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and the nothing but the truth, so help you God? Let the record show that the witnesses answered in affirmative. Thank you. You may take your seat.
You see Jeremy Corbell is like right in the center there.
We appreciate you being here today, and I look forward to hearing your testimony. Let me remind the witnesses that we have read your written statements, and it will appear in full.
I admire
in the
that guy's
hearing
game.
record.
He is
Please
just
limit
not
your oral
afraid to put
statements
himself
5
in
minutes,
front and
but I
center of
understand you have a
everything.
lot to get through, so if it goes a little over, don't worry about
Respect.
it. As a reminder, please press the button on the microphone in front of you so that it is on and the members can hear you. When you begin to speak, the light in front of you will turn green. After 4 minutes, the light will turn yellow. And when the red light comes on, your 5 minutes have expired, and we will ask you to please wrap it up. I now recognize Mr. Nuccetelli for his opening statement.
Good morning. Thank you, Chairwoman Luna, Ranking Member Crockett, and members of the task force for giving us the opportunity to testify today. My name is Jeffrey Nuccetelli. I'm a former military police officer with 16 years of active duty service in the U.S. Air Force. I'm here today because the American people have both the right and the responsibility to know the truth about unidentified aerial phenomenon. That truth remains hidden, classified, and silenced by fear, retaliation, stigma, and confusion. Today, we are here to help break that silence. Between 2003 and 2005, 5 UAP incidents occurred at Vandenberg Air Force Base, home to the National Missile Defense Project, a top national
I wish I had the
security
sound effect, Matthew.
At the time, we were conducting launches
I wish
deemed by
I
the
had it.
National Reconnaissance Office as the
Oh.
most important in 25 years. These were historic launches. These facilities were vital, and they were repeatedly visited by UAP. Each incident was witnessed by multiple personnel, documented, investigated, and reported up the chain of command. We sent information up, but we got no guidance down on how to handle these events. I personally witnessed one of these events and investigated others as they occurred. 6 other service members have provided me with the information that I will share with you today. The incursions began on October 14th, 2003, when Boeing contractors reported a massive glowing red square silently hovering over 2 missile defense sites. After several minutes, it drifted further east onto the base and vanished over the hills. This event, now known as the Vandenberg Red Square, was referenced by
Might need to
Representative
talk
Luna
about
at the
it.
first hearing on this topic. Official Air Force records
Tuna
of this
tacos?
event are in possession by Aero and the FBI. Later that night, while I was on duty, security guards at a critical launch site reported a bright, fast-moving object over the ocean. I responded to the incident. Chaos ensued over the radio as the object approached rapidly. I heard my friends screaming, "It's coming right at us, it's coming right for us, and now it's right here." Moments later, I heard them say that it had shot off and was gone. When I arrived on scene, I talked to 5 shaken witnesses who described a massive triangular craft larger than a football field that hovered silently for about 45 seconds over their entry control point before shooting away at impossible speed. About a week later, another patrol reported a light over the ocean behaving erratically. Believing it might be an unannounced aircraft, they declared an emergency, and an armed response force responded. Before the forces could arrive, the object descended and either landed or hovered on our flight line, and then took off again at impossible speed. The witnesses to this event were threatened and intimidated afterward. They were told to keep quiet
Not surprised.
and think about what they were reporting. After that, things did get quiet until about 2005, when another patrol reported a massive triangular craft larger than a C-130 silently floating over the installation. He watched it for a few minutes. It traveled west and disappeared into the night. And then I had my own encounter, again in 2005. I was off duty, sitting in my backyard with 2 other police officers when we noticed what first appeared to be a satellite in orbit, but it wasn't acting like a satellite. The light was strange, it was pulsing, and then it started to maneuver. It dropped in elevation. At times it would vanish from view and reappear in a different location in the sky, and eventually it reappeared 200 feet over my house. It was a 30-foot diameter sphere of light. My friends and I watched it for a moment, and then it gently accelerated and traveled up and disappeared into the stars. These events profoundly changed my life and the lives of my friends. We stand at a pivotal moment in history. The question is no longer whether these events are real, but whether we have the courage to face them. True leadership requires vision, a willingness to confront the unknown with transparency and resolve. So I ask the Congress to help we, the people, enact this vision. There are 3 goals: fund independent research and treat UAP study with the same seriousness as we would any other scientific field. 2, end secrecy and overclassification. Transparency is the
For a lot of
foundation
stuff,
truth.
not just
Without
UFOs.
it, witnesses like us are dismissed. 3, protect the witnesses. Many stay silent out of fear for their careers, reputations, and the safety of their families. Protect them, and you will embolden others to join this cause. These phenomena challenge our deepest assumptions about reality, consciousness, and our place in the universe. Exploring them can unlock transformative breakthroughs in technology, biology, and human understanding. Let this be the moment when America chooses courage over fear, transparency over secrecy, and progress over stagnation. Let's show the world that our nation leads not only through strength, but through fearless pursuit of the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nuccetelli.
I would argue that this is stagnation. Thank you for the story. Interesting. Truth is out there.
I now recognize Chief Wiggins for his opening statement. Please
You're
press
muted.
your button. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairwoman Luna, Ranking Member Crockett, and members of the task force and the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Alexandro Wiggins. I'm an active duty U.S. Navy Operations Specialist, Senior Chief Petty Officer, father of 3, and dedicated American testifying today in my personal capacity. The views I share are my own, and I do not represent the official positions of the Department of the Navy or any subordinate organization. On the evening of February 15th, 2023, at approximately 19:15 PST in the Whiskey 291 warning area off the coast of Southern California.
Mm.
I was serving on board USS Jackson. During that period, I moved between the Interior Communications Center, ICC-1, and the bridge wing, correlating the sensor picture with visual observations, part of my routine responsibilities for surface and air picture management. What I observed and what our crew recorded was not consistent with conventional aircraft or drones as they appear on our system. A self-luminous tic-tac shaped object emerged from the ocean before linking up.
This was
with
just 2
3
years
other
ago.
Similar objects. The four
the
then
coast of
disappeared
SoCal.
simultaneously with a high
Want the
synchronized,
pictures.
near instantaneous
I don't think we're going to
acceleration.
see any pictures.
No.
I observed no sonic boom and no conventional propulsion signatures. No exhaust plume, no control surface articulation on the Sapphire image system. Shortly after the synchronized departure, radar tracks dropped. These observations were multi-sensor and recorded inside of ICC-1 with time location overlay visible in our source frames that have been made public by journalists. From my experience operating in this region over many years and consistent with our public characterized encounters, unidentified objects reoccur in United States operation areas off Southern California. That fact alone does not tell us what they are, but it does argue the systematic stigma-free reporting and for the preservation of sensor data so analysts can evaluate safe and intelligence implications with rigor. I want to underscore 3 points for the task force and the committee. Aviation and maritime safety. When crews and watchstanders observe objects that maneuver or accelerate in ways that does not match known profiles and do so near our ships and aircraft, that is first and foremost a safety issue.
Yes.
Standardized checklist and training
That's
should
been
ensure
established
we capture the best possible
again
sensor
and
data
again.
in real time, including IR settings, slant range estimates, and bearing and range altitude snapshots, and immediate chain of custody for any recordings. Reporting without stigma, protection without retribution. Sailors need to know that reporting UAP encounters will not harm their careers. Congress can
Still.
help by reinforcing witness protection and by directing the relevant office to maintain confidential, destigmatized channels for service members who step forward with data. Declassification and transparency where possible. The task force declassification mission is directly relevant here, where operational security permits
Yes,
releasing
chat,
metadata
oaths.
preserved sensor excerpts,
Supposedly
or at
oaths
least
are
technical summaries
keeping this all from
would
us,
improve
and
public trust.
the
and
only way we're going to
accelerate
get disclosure
outside
is through immunity
scientific
with these,
scrutiny.
not just government
That
workers,
includes,
with
when
the
feasible,
con-
the time
contractors.
georeference IR
We'll get into
frames
that
and
a little later.
radar parameters needed for independent analysis. To be clear, I am not here to make claims beyond my lane. I am here to provide a firsthand account of what I saw, what our systems recorded, and why it matters for safety, for intelligence, and public confidence.
Yep.
My request to you is practical. Help us capture, protect, fairly evaluate the evidence, and
Capture.
provide a safe pathway.
We already
for
have.
those
Can.
in
Well,
uniform.
not the ones that
I mean,
are
we've
flying right now.
captured the,
In closing,
Crashed.
well,
I want to
okay,
thank
so
the
there's
committee and the
crashed
task
and there's
force for holding this
donated
hearing.
X-ray girls. So
Yeah,
there's
that's true.
like,
For the
there is,
and for placing this
there is
discussion
a
in
theory
forum
out there that
where
some of this
evidence
stuff
can
is
be
just
examined
like
carefully
left
and openly.
for us to
I
reverse
appreciate your
engineer as
attention
part
and
of
stand ready
something,
to answer your
a
questions.
treaty,
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
A test?
a test. Yeah, I don't know. But the Tic Tac
I now
has
recognize
been
Mr.
seen
Knapp for his
off the
opening
coast
statement.
of SoCal for a long time, as long as I can remember. I never saw
Ranking
anything.
member,
But
Ms.
it's been
Crockett,
seen
and,
off the coast for
members of the
decades.
task force, and Dina
Mhm.
Titus. I just
We also
knew
had
we were gonna
mystery
get you
booms
involved
for the
in this topic
longest
at one
time.
point.
I think they
Great to
still
see
do
you
in
here.
SoCal.
I'm George Knapp, chief investigative reporter at KLES TV in Las Vegas. I began my pursuit of this weird mystery way back in 1987. And for 38 years, I've always approached this as a news story. It's not a matter of faith or belief. To me, it's a story, and it's an important one. I'm proud to be here
visual
alongside
aids.
these
Thank
witnesses
you.
today, men who have seen strange things and stepped forward to tell the world about it. Whistleblowers and witnesses who step up are routinely insulted, belittled, or worse. They risk their reputations, their careers, their clearances, their livelihoods, and sometimes much more than that, even their freedom. I know that one of the goals of the task force here is to figure out ways to protect whistleblowers and witnesses.
I think this guy,
And it's a tall order because so many of the things that happen to witnesses like these are extra legal. They're carried out by persons unknown.
Richard
as
Dolan,
Mr. Dave Grush,
Mhm.
sitting up
Scott,
at the top of the room,
very
knows all too
trustworthy
well, including events in
investigator.
recent days.
But as far
that
as
have
what,
happened to him. I want to
within
share
the
a couple
government?
of things that
Ugh.
I've learned along
Government?
the way on this long journey, and I submitted most of that in written form because I estimate that my statement here today would take about 4.5 hours. So
Jacques
I'm gonna
Vallée?
try to jump
I would
over
rather that,
and
though.
touch on the
Yeah,
more
I'd rather listen to
important
you.
salient points. I submitted a detailed written statement for the record, and we'll go into a lot of that here. But the public has been told over and over since the late 40s, there's nothing to worry about here. These mysterious craft seen by millions of people in the skies, in the oceans, over the land.
I think all
are not
investigators have been
real.
fooled
They're
by
not
some
a
stuff.
threat.
I'm not going to
The
hold like
witnesses
one or
are
two
wrong.
things
They're
against them. But
crackpots.
George,
Don't believe it. That changed
got
for me.
TDS,
What got
but
me hooked is the
in this
paper
field,
trail.
I follow him, and he's always
Documents
been
that were
pretty
squeezed out of the
consistent.
U.S. government.
Now, some of the people
after
around
the
him,
FOIA,
not
Freedom
so
of
sure.
Information Act became the law of the land. And those documents paint a much different picture than what the public, the press, and Congress have been told over many years. The documents from military and intelligence personnel behind closed doors admit that, quote, these things are real. They're not fictitious. They can fly in formation. They're evasive, and they outperform any aircraft known to exist, including ours. The public, of course, as I said, has been told something much different. Back in 1989, I reported about a guy named Bob Lazar, who claimed that he worked at a facility dubbed S4.
I love
out
that his
in the
name's
Nevada
getting
desert,
mentioned here.
very
That's
near
great.
to Area 51. He said he was part of a reverse engineering program. He said there are alien craft that will be taken apart to figure out how they operated out there.
One from an
And that was a
archaeological
pretty
dig.
tall order. I had clearly taken a dive into the deep end of the pool there. But in the years since then, I've interviewed dozens of other people, and I've detailed what their testimony has been in the written statement. They include Senator Harry Reid, Senator Howard Cannon, also of Nevada, a guy named Al O'Donnell, who was the first general manager of EG&G in Nevada, which managed the Nevada test site, which blew up hundreds of nuclear weapons. There's a guy named Dr. James Lukatsky, who was a career scientist with the Defense Intelligence Agency, who was the guy who initiated a program called OSAP, Advanced Aerospace Weapons Systems Application Program, which is, as far as we know, the largest acknowledged UFO program ever funded by the U.S. government, which put together an amazing pile of world, most of which they have never seen. The DIA still hasn't released 95% of what was prepared by that program at a cost of millions and millions of dollars. The one name I do want to bring up in this session, though, is Robert Bigelow. So looking into the idea of crash retrievals and reverse engineering, while OSAP, that program, was active, the DIA's contractor, Robert Bigelow of Las Vegas, made a bold attempt to acquire physical proof of UFO crashes. It's been widely reported and suspected that Lockheed Martin is one of the contractors, the defense contractors, that has held this stuff, stored it away in secrecy, and tried to figure out how it works. I have confirmed on the record that Robert Bigelow and a trusted colleague from OSAP met with and negotiated with senior executives at Lockheed Martin and hammered out a deal wherein Bigelow's company, Bass, would receive a quantity of unusual material that had been stashed away and protected at a facility in California. That material was not made here. I want to move on now to the Russia files, because that was going to be sort of the central impetus of what I was going to talk to you about today. Back in the early 90s, I got into Russia, met with a number of their defense officials, Ministry of Defense and others, who confirmed for me that Russia had been doing the same thing that the United States had been doing, that is, secretly studying UFOs while publicly saying something completely different. The documents and
surprise there.
interviews that I obtained and have now shared with this task force show that the USSR launched what is almost certainly the largest UFO UAP investigation in the world. The first phase of that was an order was sent out to the entire USSR military empire that every unit, you see anything strange in the sky, a craft, an orb, something unusual, you had to gather all the evidence, collect testimony from the witnesses, look for physical evidence, and all of that information went into one program at the Ministry of Defense. Thousands and thousands of these reports came in. A lot of them were first routed to the KGB, but then back to another program that came after this collection effort called Thread 3. And Thread 3 was an analysis program. We have provided to the committee the documents of what they were trying to do. And essentially, they were trying to build their own UFOs. They were using the information from their observations and studies to try to figure out that technology. The guy who was in charge of that program, Colonel Boris Sokolov, told me that their goal was to basically develop technology that would be superior to anything we had based on what they learned from UFOs.
Mr. Knapp, just in the name of time,
Sure.
to my understanding, did you have anything you wanted to submit for Congress to see in this committee?
I have submitted those documents.
Would you like to play any videos? Do you have a video that you would like to play?
I don't think it's for me to play.
No, that was for Alexander.
Yeah, Alexander's video.
Okay.
You could play it, he could narrate it.
Okay, we can, in the name of showing that video to everyone on the task force, we'd like to play that video at this time.
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
Let's see.
Huh? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
When was this?
It is, I don't know. So they're having, I'm trying to hear them. So 22,000 feet.
That-
They can't
That
lock
shit
in on it.
took off earlier.
If we can get rid of the audio real quick. Mr. Wiggins and Mr. Knapp, we'll get back to what that video was in a moment, but we just want to make sure that it was entered into the record as well as all the documents. Those will be able to be publicly found for everyone in the country to view. If we could, Mr. Knapp, we'll continue on the line of questioning, but I'm going to move on to Mr. Borland's opening statement.
Good morning, members of the task force and the committee. I would like to express my gratitude for being
Wish we
invited to
ended with
testify
that.
to the current task force created under the People's Chamber and the American public.
I'll eat breakfast.
As an American citizen, veteran, and intelligence community professional, it is an honor and a privilege to serve under oath before you on behalf of our
So they wanted to
country.
get that in the
I speak for
congressional
myself
record.
And no former agency or company
Looked like
I
a
have been
Tic Tac.
previously affiliated with.
Mm-hmm. Now all I
William
want to do
Phillips
is watch
Borland, a
and
former
talk about that
1N1
video.
Geospatial
Yeah.
intelligence specialist for the United States Air Force and an active duty
need to see a
enlisted
little-
capacity from 2010 to 2013.
I don't want to talk over this guy, but
I've also been employed with
you know they
BAE
have better
Systems
quality
and Intrepid
videos.
Solutions as a senior
Yeah.
analyst, expert in analyzing video, radar, and advanced electro-optical imagery.
You know who
for
he sounds
visual
like?
identification of
Intelligence.
aerial order of battle, as well as
From Team
naval
America.
and ground order of battle.
he
I'm
doesn't
a
he?
federal whistleblower, having testified to both
Mhm.
the ICIG
He sounds like
and
intelligence
Arrow
from
with
Team
direct
America.
firsthand knowledge of and experience with craft and technologies that are not
Maybe he
ours
does
and are
voice acting
reportedly
on the
I'm
side. Who
sorry.
knows?
Congressional. Because of my direct knowledge of the reality of
We
certain
have no
legacy UAP
intelligence.
programs, my professional career was deliberately obstructed, and I have endured sustained reprisals from government agencies for over a decade. From 2011 to 2013, I was stationed at Langley Air Force Base, Virginia, conducting 24-hour operations via manned and unmanned aerial vehicles for Special Operations Forces in the global war on terror. During the summer of 2012, my team was on standby for weather, and I returned to my barracks on base, and at approximately 0130, I saw an approximately 100-foot equilateral triangle take off from near the NASA hangar on the base. The craft interfered with my telephone, did not have any sound, and the material it was made of appeared fluid or dynamic. I was under this triangular craft for a few minutes and
Yeah,
then it
another
rapidly
triangle chat.
ascended to commercial jet level in seconds, displaying zero kinetic disturbance, sound, or wind displacement. Some years after that experience, I was further exposed to classified information from the UAP legacy crash retrieval program through a sensitive position I held within a special access program. During this time, intelligence officers approached me in fear for their own careers, citing misconduct within these programs and similar retaliation that I was already enduring at this time. These issues include medical malpractice committed by Veterans Affairs staff, denial of work I performed while enlisted in the United States Air Force, forged and manipulated employment documents, workplace harassment, including colleagues being directed to not speak with me, manipulation of my security clearance by certain agencies, blocking, delaying, and ultimately removing my ability to be employed within the IC. The retaliation I face and the retaliation against individuals I know who worked in these programs is what convinced me in March 2023 to become a whistleblower. I came forward out of concern for people's lives and to ensure I did everything I could to let our elected representatives know the truth about what is really happening in the executive branch. At the end of March 2023, I agreed to meet with Arrow following the suggestion of other federal officials believing it was what our nation required of me. I had reservations with Arrow due to assessments they were reporting publicly at the time as a misrepresentation of the truth. Because of these concerns, I did not share sources and methods information in order to protect current and former federal personnel who had firsthand exposure to technologies of unknown origin. I did not want anyone to face further retaliation beyond what they had already endured. And unfortunately, a staff member ended up getting in some trouble because of that. After David Grush testified under oath in the summer of 2023 and provided historic disclosure, I was then asked to go to the ICIG and did so in August 2023. It was very clear early on during my intake interview, which was video recorded under oath, that the objective was to solely assess how much I know and not move forward with an investigation with new information I provided them. The aftermath of that IG complaint still troubles me to this day. Since my ICIG complaint, I've been prevented from resuming prior employment and can confirm I'm still blacklisted from certain agencies within the intelligence community. In addition, multiple agencies attempted phishing attacks to assess what I had divulged to the Inspector General, including being asked to disclose details of my ICIG complaint during a CI polygraph for a position unrelated to UFO UAP matters as recently as November 2024. As I sit before you today, I and many other whistleblowers have no job prospects, no foreseeable professional future, and a nation every single one of us came forward to defend. Numerous individuals have come forward in various ways to reveal the truth of the UAP reality as patriots and defenders of our nation. Yet many feel discarded, isolated, hopeless, separated from the country they serve. Efforts to rectify this situation for all whistleblowers have been difficult and troubling. And to my fellow whistleblowers and officials who know this information, I offer you my apology, something that I have never gotten, and I'm giving it to you. I swore an oath to the Constitution of the United States, an oath that demands truth and transparency for our democratic republic to function. Each day, these truths remain hidden from our citizens. Humanity drifts further from the principles our nation was founded to uphold. Each day, victims of crimes committed by agencies and companies maintaining this secrecy are denied justice is another day our Constitution is shredded. In 2023, Patriots provided this committee and the executive branch with undeniable proof of the UAP reality, and I commend your continued commitment. The future of humanity is one which we either travel to the stars or regress to the Stone Age with this technology. My career has been to deliver critical information to decision makers. Your role as elected by your representatives is to act on it. The time to act is now. Thank you.
Y'all clap. Y'all won't fucking do a thing. I'm talking to all those Congress people.
His story is just so sad.
It is.
Mr. Borland, thank you for your service.
Look at
to
how
our
many
country.
other
We
ones there are out
appreciate you,
there.
And we're
That don't even
sorry
want to
that
talk.
you
Yeah.
haven't been treated,
Yeah.
And we will make sure that we try to rectify.
Well, that was the whole point.
situation.
Put them through the meat grinder. They won't
Mr.
talk.
Yeah.
Spielberger, please, your opening remarks.
Chairwoman Luna, Ranking Member Crockett, and Task Force members, thank you for the opportunity to testify here today about the importance of strengthening whistleblower protections, especially in the context of national security. I'm a senior policy counsel at the Project on Government Oversight, a nonpartisan independent watchdog organization that investigates and exposes waste, corruption, abuse of power, and when the government fails to serve the public or silences those who report wrongdoing.
You must be busy.
Whistleblowers are the first line of defense to root out waste, fraud, abuse of power, and corruption in our government. Congress relies on whistleblowers so that it can fully exercise its oversight and legislative authorities. It's understandable that former presidents of both parties have often taken a hostile approach toward whistleblowers. Their disclosures can embarrass the president and their political party or even lead to a national scandal. But whistleblowers continue to play a vital role during both Democratic and Republican administrations. They help Congress and the public identify and understand what government corruption looks like. Their disclosures fuel investigations and allow us to address wrongdoing and hold those responsible to account. That's why historically there's been a strong bipartisan consensus in Congress to support and protect whistleblowers. Doing so protects the country and ensures our government is more responsive and accountable to the people.
Sure.
National security whistleblowing in particular is a tradition going back to the founding of our country, and over time, national security whistleblowers and their disclosures have impacted some of the most fundamental issues and questions about how we wish to be governed and how our government can better serve its people. From the role the U.S. plays around the world to holding powerful actors accountable, government ethics and transparency, human rights and civil liberties, executive branch authority, First Amendment freedoms of speech and dissent, freedom of the press, and the public's interest and right to know. Despite this invaluable public service, blowing the whistle comes at great personal risk. Whistleblowers risk losing their jobs, careers, livelihoods, and reputations. They can face retaliatory investigations, lawsuits, and even serious criminal charges. And they can endure deep mental, emotional, and psychological harm. All of that risk to speak the truth, to ensure that agencies fulfill their core missions, and that they serve the best interests of the people. Those who retaliate against whistleblowers don't just violate their legal rights, they inflict real harm on our government and betray the public's trust. Targeting whistleblowers instead of the corruption they expose wastes agency resources and further allows that corruption to continue unaddressed.
Yeah, covers a lot of asses.
It can instill a chilling effect across an agency, fostering a climate of fear and distrust, quieting dissent and free speech, and deterring potential whistleblowers from coming forward in the future. Whistleblowers are often some of the most dedicated and principled public servants we have because of their willingness to put themselves on the line to do what's right. And Congress has historically supported them, again, on a bipartisan basis, but unfortunately, whistleblowing has increasingly become more politicized, with support for whistleblowers often hinging on which party is in power, inconvenienced by the misconduct being exposed.
Cold War never ended.
But to be clear,
Magnum Norris, as you know,
targeting
thank you for the
whistleblowers
50.
individually risks
They just rebranded.
undermining whistleblowing, period. Pogo advises members of Congress on both sides of the aisle to focus on the evidence, not the individual. We will always need whistleblowers to achieve the government that best serves its people, because when people of conscience, integrity, and good character refuse to speak up out of fear, complacency, or self-preservation, and leave corruption to fester behind closed doors, that is probably the most dangerous risk of all.
And it's
If we are
happening right
serious
now.
about increasing government transparency and restoring the public's trust, we need public servants committed to the truth. Whistleblowers need safe and effective channels to make lawful disclosures. They need stronger protections against retaliation. And when they do face retaliation, they need a fair shot to be made whole. Congress has made strides to pass whistleblower legislation, and these laws need to be updated and expanded so that whistleblowers truly receive the protections they need, retaliators are held accountable, and we can achieve the type of government the people deserve. We strongly urge Congress to continue its historic tradition of championing the rights and protections of all whistleblowers. Thank you again for the opportunity to testify here this morning. Pogo is committed to working with you and the Oversight Committee to address these critical issues. I look forward to any questions.
Thank you, sir, very much. Additionally, without objection, the following members are waived onto the task force for the purpose of questioning witnesses at today's hearing: Representative Perry of Pennsylvania and Representative Grothman of Wisconsin. Sorry, what is it? Oh, and Representative Biggs from Arizona. I already got you, but yeah, we're good. Without objection, so ordered. I now recognize myself for 5 minutes of questioning. Also, as my friend Mr. Moskowitz might have to go, would you like to go now? Okay. All right. Mr. Borland, in your testimony, you described witnessing large triangular craft while stationed at Langley Air Force Base in 2012. Can you explain what you observed in terms of size, behavior, and why you're confident it was not conventional technology?
Great question, ma'am. So on barracks, on the base, I lived in the barracks. There was a little smoke pit outside. I was there on the telephone and looking across to the flight line, and I see a white light pop up and stop about 100 feet in the air. I thought it was a weather balloon. I've seen tests from there before, weeknight, normal thing, not surprising. I actually finished my cigarette and I began walking up towards the flight line. There is a track, and because I was on 3 months of night work, I would walk the track at night when we were weathered down. And as I began walking towards the light, towards the flight line and the track, the light then flies across the base, across the flight line, and as it flies to me, a triangle manifests around the light. I can't tell you if it's active camouflage. I can't tell you if it appeared around the light, but I can tell you that it was a white light and then it was a triangle. It stopped about 100 feet in front of me and approximately 100 feet above me. My telephone got extremely hot, completely froze, dead. I remember how thick it was. It was between 1 to 2 stories thick, equilateral triangle. I could never see the top of it, and the edges were 90 degrees. There were 4 lights in total, 1 light on each corner and a larger light in the center, 2 to 3 times the size of the corner lights. But what was really odd was the outside. The best way to describe it is like looking at a James Webb telescope picture where you have the colors and then the black background. So the craft itself was this black metallic flake paint, but on top of the craft was this gold lava, plasma, some type of fluid going over and around the craft. I'm under this for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then the center light flashes 2 to 3 times, no sound, immediately shoots up to commercial jet level minimum, in my opinion. And I immediately feel static electricity all over my body, and then I smell the smell of after a thunderstorm or lightning storm, that really strong summer thunderstorm smell. Gets up to flight level. I'm trying to get my phone reset, and I can only see the center light at this point. If I didn't actually see it take off, I would have thought it was a star. And then it hovers up there, and it begins to slowly move due east out over the Atlantic Ocean. I finally got my phone reset. The entire thing was about, from the time I saw the light pop up near the hangar until it took off out over the ocean, was about 15 minutes.
That's a long sighting.
And following up to that question, after you disclose this information to the intelligence community, Inspector General, you're subject to phishing attempts and job blacklisting. How widespread do you think this is across the intelligence community for those who raise concerns regarding UAP programs?
It's a difficult question to answer. I think prior to David Grush and people beginning this process of bringing people into awareness of the reality of these programs and certain things people have witnessed, probably extremely widespread.
Yep.
I think today there's still an issue, but because people are able to come before you and people are speaking out, I think it has been somewhat less. I would hope, though, that people would, because if this goes back into closed doors, this is going to get really ugly.
What type of behavior have you witnessed from former Aero Director Sean Kilpatrick, as well as his staff, in relate to this information you provided to them?
Put him on blast.
Did they ever try to
Good.
classify this
That was a punk.
information as non-human technology?
Good question. The problem with this is that I know what I experienced firsthand, and I know other things. I think the staff at Aero that I met with in March of 2023, I think they were good people doing the job they were told to do. I did not meet with Kirkpatrick. He was either not present or did not want to meet me that day. However, they did classify information about the reality of this subject. And it was very concerning because in my Aero MFR, they had actually referenced a former staff member that was the one who told me to go there, and they probably shouldn't have done that.
And real quick before my time is up, and we might go to second round of questions, just so you're all aware. How important, given everything that you've seen and experienced, is
I don't
the
think they were good
UAP
people
Disclosure
doing
Act
what
of
they were told.
2025 and
I think they were
restoring
bad
both
people
public accountability and
doing what they
trust?
were told. That's just me.
I think very important. I would hope, though, that the 7-year window could be shrunk, my opinion, but very important. The truth needs to be known.
Thank you very much. I now recognize.
Has been for 80 years.
Jared
Is
Moskowitz
it 80
with
now,
Becca.
guys? 80 years?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Thank you for allowing me to wave on to.
I want to hear
the
more
committee.
from
I
him
remember,
too.
you know,
Gosh.
the last committee when we had
Yeah.
a bunch of former military personnel folks that either served on bases, were pilots, or were in different programs, experiencing knowledge. It made me recognize
God,
that
can we not hear from
the narrative
anybody?
has
And
changed.
fucking
Right? It's politically convenient for the government if you all weren't military folks in suits. It would be much better if you pulled up in Winnebagos and were wearing hats. And so the picture of this, because that's important for the American people.
you
and
mean
how tell a
plebs?
story,
Little
what the
plebs?
message looks like, and who the messenger is.
What?
So this is now
Fuck.
the second or third committee where we have former military
we-
folks with impeccable records, with information
To
and
those of you in
knowledge.
the UK who are suffering right now,
It's
we don't
definitely
have the
clear
best of
on
the
a
best
bipartisan
working for us
basis that
here
we have to
either.
protect our
Okay.
whistleblowers.
We just
No
don't.
doubt. And in a day in which it's really hard to tell what's true or not from a political standpoint.
There will be a real
And
BBC.
so I don't really know.
Links already
what's
made.
True.
Oh,
I
good.
don't
Oh my
know on
God.
this subject.
On Az's channel, we're going to
But I do
raid.
know when we're being lied to. And we are definitely being lied to.
Where's the
There's just
question?
no doubt about that.
Yeah. Where's the fucking question?
Mr. Wiggins, I want to talk to you. I find
Look at his ears.
your
Like a
background
Dumbo.
and testimony compelling.
Guy's going to take
When
off
you
if he gets a good
first
wind behind.
saw
Oh my
Good
God.
behind wind.
what you were looking at, what you were looking at. What were your first thoughts?
What
My
the
first
fuck?
Thoughts
That's my first
were,
thoughts.
I think.
So,
everything that
what
I
the fuck was the point of that
told
question?
and taught as a kid
How did
and
you
as
feel
grown adult,
seeing a UFO?
What are we in
What's your favorite
therapy?
tree?
Able to see something
What the fuck was that?
defies gravity in such a way, then what else could be possible? That was my first thought.
So did you think what you were looking at was a weapons program that you were unaware of, or did you think what you were looking at was
Leading question.
obviously some extraterrestrial piece of technology?
Neither one of those crossed my mind. It was just.
How about now? What do you think it is now?
I'm not the expert. I think it. I want to be as skeptical as everyone else and just hope to know the information.
Anyone in the U.S. government tell you what you were looking at to try to dissuade you from what you thought it was?
No.
So no one was like, oh, there was some anomaly with the technology. No one from the government did that?
No one.
How do you think you were treated when you reported this information or have talked about, the Tic Tac video is well out there. It's well reported. How were you treated?
I've had no pushback at all. I haven't had anyone reach out to me or try to, dissuade me in either direction, militarily speaking. So I was treated fair, and I appreciate the Navy itself with assisting me with coming here to being able to testify.
That's good. So what do you think the American people should take away from watching your video, right? Because when we watch it, obviously, right, we've never seen anything like that. It defies what we know to be technologically possible. What are we supposed to think? Someone's lying about something. Someone's hiding something, right? That's not normal what you looked at.
I think what the American people should think when seeing that video, along with others before me, is that there is something out there, and we should know as the people what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
And so let's eliminate possibilities. So they didn't come to you and say there was a technological error with what you were looking at. So we put that aside, right? They didn't say it was broken. So we look at that and we see something. So it's either a weapons program being reverse engineered by our governments or other governments, or it's nobody's government and it's not from here. Those are it. You agree with that assessment?
I agree. One or the other.
Mr. Borland,
Equally disturbing.
when you first experienced what you were looking at, what did you do next? Like, what was your next step after it had passed and you were done?
I actually kind of laughed to myself and said, okay, so this exists as well. worked in enough programs, been exposed to enough that I was like, okay, so this is a real thing. I went back, walked the track, talked with a couple of my friends about it. I did talk with some of my coworkers, one in particular, which I thought was a joke, and it definitely wasn't, was like, you probably should never say this to anybody. And then what happened to me happened. So.
What about you, Mr. How do you pronounce your last name?
Nuccetelli.
Nuccetelli. And sorry, I know I'm running out of time, Madam Chairwoman. So obviously your incident
he
happened
misgendered her.
well before we could record things on cell phones and things of that nature, right? What did you do when you first experienced? Because what you saw, right? You saw it happen like right out of your base.
Correct.
So tell me what you did after you saw that. What was like your next move? And I want to hear what your experience was.
My next move, I went into my house after it left.
Exactly.
I made sure no one had been abducted, and I picked up the landline. I called the Security Forces Command Center. I reported it. I requested that they give me a call back and make notifications up the chain of command. I got a call back in about 15 minutes. They reported that the weather station reported no balloons or aircraft, nothing on radar, no aircraft inbound or outbound. So I got that notification. And then within the following day or two, me and the other witnesses wrote statements. We prepared a report, and then we filed all that information.
Madam Chairman, thank you for your indulgence in my questioning, and thank you for continuing to lead on this subject. What do you and your friends think about it today? You all have talked about it. I mean, so what do you think about your experience as a collective group? That'll be my last question, Madam Chairwoman.
I mean, we've been talking about this for 20 years. We don't know what we saw. What we saw changed our lives and the way we think about everything. It was incredibly profound. The object I saw, I don't even know if it was an object. It was a light. It was an orb. It didn't look like a craft, but it did look solid. And that's what we talk about. We noticed the object, and this was a pattern across all the encounters. Someone would see a light. They would pay attention to the light. And then the object responds. It performs for you. And then they come down and they investigate you. So it's almost like they're curious. So that's the thing we primarily talk about. Why did it come? After we noticed it. Maybe it noticed us after we noticed
Well,
it.
once you observe it, it can tell. See, this is why it's so ridiculous that we're searching for
I now
UFOs with
recognize
fucking
Representative
radio
Mace for 5
signals
minutes.
when they're
Thank
we
you,
can do a
Madam
whole
Chair,
show
and I
on
want to
that.
thank all
X-ray
the
girl.
witnesses for being here today. Mr. Borland, I'd like to start with you and ask a few questions. Were there any other witnesses when you saw the equilateral triangle? Were there other witnesses that saw the same thing?
Not to my knowledge, ma'am. At that point, the only people that would be awake is those of us that were doing operations for the GWAT and then security forces. So not to my knowledge.
And do you think that, in your opinion, that the equilateral triangle was the U.S. government's technology?
Is she going to shoot a couple selfies during this question?
I did once upon a time, but knowing what I know now, I'll have to answer that question in a skiff probably.
Skiff.
Well, my
We got a skiff.
You teased
It was
us,
the
so no
first
one
one.
even
It only
knows
took an
what.
hour.
Yeah, it took an hour to get skiff.
I know enough to know that if you want an answer to that question, go to Arrow.
Okay.
They have the answer.
Do you think it was a foreign government?
I do not. No.
And Arrow was supposed to be disclosing. The last time I was in a skiff with Arrow, they said they were going to be doing disclosures. Had they been doing much of that?
I don't have an answer to you
Yeah.
you. I don't know. I know what Arrow reports publicly, and I know what I've been through.
Yeah. And some of this stuff can be, I think, debunked, right? Sometimes there are weather balloons that look kind of a little funky, or drones or whatever,
Where's
depending on the
Tim
angle,
Burchett?
direction,
He's usually
speed, et cetera.
here. Didn't
Are
he
you
just get
scared for your
injured?
safety?
That's a complicated question. So being here today, if I say the wrong word, technically I can be charged with espionage. Espionage is a death penalty. Whistleblowers have faced it. John Kiriakou, for example. I am not scared for my physical safety in the sense of a agency or company coming to kill me, but I have no job. My career has been tarnished. I'm unemployed, living off of unemployment for the next 3-4 weeks until that's gone. So it's a complicated question.
Have there been stories leaked about your life to try to discredit you in the public eye?
As of now, I don't know.
We know they did that to Mr. Grush.
I am
Yes,
aware.
they did.
Yes, ma'am.
They leaked his private medical
Oh,
information.
Tim got,
horrific
poor
things.
Tim.
It
Tim's
is.
great.
Um,
We're missing
Okay,
him.
you
from
said
these
in
days.
your
That sucks.
testimony earlier
Dude is
with
awesome.
the chairwoman, you know,
I feel
other
like if he whistle
things.
blew and like was on the
Um,
news, they would have
I guess it
leaked
has to be mentioned
something
in
of
the
his.
skiff.
Yes, they would have.
It would.
The other
Yeah,
things.
I've never heard
would,
of this guy.
pending I'm even legally allowed to speak on, and the people in the room are even legally allowed to hear it.
And is that, would we need to know the compartmentalized word, like what the code word is or the name of the program, the special access program, in order to even hear it? You have to know the word, right?
The
I
safe
would
word.
The name of it, right?
I would suggest that to be asked to DNI Gabbard and work with her for that, because I can't give you the answer on what is the
But
requirement.
this is
to
what
get
the
it.
U.S. government does, right? They compartmentalize the information.
Yes.
Only certain people know the name
You're
of the
part of it,
program.
Miss
And if you
Mace.
don't know it, you can't get the information. If you don't have the name, you don't know what to ask for.
Pretty-
Even when we're reviewing the budget, we go into a skiff, we look at DoD budget and the budget of like black box programs, and we don't know what we're looking at because we don't know what these programs are. Is it a way for the government to hide from Congress
Yes.
what's
Yes.
really going on? What
Yes.
is doing?
In my opinion, absolutely yes.
Yes.
You
$400
mentioned in your
toilet
testimony
seats.
earlier that
Yes.
quote, you went to speak with the government and they said
Snitching on
they said somebody's
herself.
name, a colleague's name, and you said they shouldn't have mentioned that staff person's name. What does that mean?
A Senate staffer who is the one who helped me get to Arrow recommended me I go there, gave me the email and the phone number because I could not find that information at all at the time about how Arrow didn't even have a website for quite a period of time.
We were told they were going to do disclosures, both what they've debunked, because some of it can be debunked, and then what they haven't been able to debunk. And to my knowledge, it hasn't been a thing. I only have 1 minute left. So Mr. Knapp, we were definitely going to watch every documentary. You guys have you and Jeremy have done a terrific job. I usually have more questions than I have answers. I think we all do. And you guys are doing a terrific job to bring information to the public. Do you think that any of this is a psyop by the U.S. government?
Yes.
Entirely possible. I mean,
Yes.
Our government and other governments have admitted that they've tried to use UFOs to cover secret projects.
Absolutely.
But I think they also do some reverse engineering of those claims.
Both
So
can be true.
Years after people start seeing
PSYOP to
UFOs
cover up
over Area 51, for
the
example,
reverse
they
engineering.
come up with the story. Oh yeah, that was we planted that story. So I read in a major newspaper just a couple of weeks ago, they planted this story. An Air Force colonel went out into the desert, went to a bar at Rachel and gave them some fake UFO photos. And that's how the whole story about Area 51 started, which is preposterous.
Yeah. And I didn't even get to the crash retrieval program stuff yet, Miss Chairwoman. There's just so much.
Yeah, the most
Okay,
important
thank
stuff.
you so much for your
We haven't
time
gotten to the
today.
most
Wish we had more
important
time.
stuff.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Why are we clapping?
I now recognize Ms. Crockett for
Is this an AA meeting?
Thank you so much, Madam
Hi,
Chair.
Dan.
Thank you so much to
Oh,
each of
God.
the witnesses that have come
Ugh.
before us today. The federal government has had a long
I really need that sound
standing
effect, X-ray girl.
overclassification issue in general. We all know that from the assassinations of MLK and Malcolm X to the COINTELPRO and torture programs to now UAPs. The federal government has kept the American public in the dark about issues of immense public interest. The federal government has routinely made excuses for failing to provide
Tuskegee.
transparency to the public, the most common of which
Gulf
is
of
national
Tonkin.
security concerns. Mr. Spielberger,
Some might say
can you provide an
9/11.
example of when national security was inappropriately used as a pretext for classification?
Today, 5 times
Congresswoman,
before this meeting
probably one of
started.
the most infamous examples of that is the 9/11 Commission that found that overclassification was a key factor in the failure to adequately prevent the attacks of that day.
Mm.
In addition to that, what lessons from these oversight failures should guide Congress in approaching UAP oversight?
Generally speaking, we would advise this Congress to ensure that agencies adopt general policy in favor of disclosure instead of a knee-jerk needing to overclassify information and documents. We should ensure that when information is classified or deemed sensitive, it's only for legitimate national security and privacy concerns. And we would recommend adding additional factors to the considerations of cost, value, and certainly to the extent that it's critical for the public interest and the public's right to know, especially when we are talking
The
about
default
these
is to classify.
very serious
If
national security concerns.
if
and
a
implications.
something comes up and
Can
they're
you
considering
speak
for
to how
classification and they
whistleblowers have
can't really
historically
kind of figure
helped
out within those
Congress
parameters, they just go
uncover the
classify it.
truth in other areas and how that might apply here?
Absolutely. So again, Congress has always relied on whistleblowers coming forward and making disclosures in a number of different issues across different agencies, anything from national security to airline safety, railway safety, environmental concerns, workplace health and safety, a lot of issues coming out of the COVID pandemic, for example. Whistleblowers have come forward with important disclosures on just about any critical issue affecting our government and affecting the American people, all of which have grave implications for the rights and protections that we have and how we live our lives in communities across the country.
How important is it for whistleblowers to have strong protections when it comes to UAP-related disclosures or disclosures of other topics of excessive government secrecy?
It's absolutely vital. This has been one of the disappointing failures of doing this work, of advocating for stronger whistleblower protections. We recognize the
The fact that we're still talking about whistleblower protections 5 years into this, 6 years,
that we've heard
7
about,
years into this,
just to speak the truth, to get important information out in the public consciousness.
Come on.
But they can only do so when we have safe and secure channels for reporting, when there is trust in the independence of agency watchdogs like inspectors general, like the Office of Special Counsel, like the Merit Systems Protection Board, that play critical roles in investigating whistleblower disclosures and enforcing the protections of whistleblowers. All of that is essential to allow whistleblowers to keep coming forward and playing these incredibly important public roles.
Thank you so much. Let me just say this. People look at Congress, especially now, and they see a lack of unity. They don't see the ability for us to come together really on.
Are you saying this, Miss Crockett, for real?
That I do applaud the chairwoman and the work of this committee, because for once I feel like we are focusing on governing, which should be about transparency. The reality is that we cause more harm than good when we allow a lack of
people like you
transparency to
fucking
fester.
moron.
It allows for all types of conspiracy theories instead of us actually making the investments that we need to make to get the information and actually provide it to the American people. The reason that I wanted to focus on making sure that we answer some questions specifically around the protections of those that are willing to come forward is because the only way that we can make this government actually work for all of us is if no matter where you are in this federal government, you feel as if you are safe when you come forward with information of any issue. And so I do want to thank you for all of your stories. The reality is that we only get 5 minutes and the vast majority of everything that you have to say cannot be contextualized within 5 minutes. But I know that my colleagues are going to get we can pulling some
hear
more
less
of that
from
out.
you and more from
I
them.
really just want to thank you for your courage in
Yeah.
this moment.
More
And
podcasts.
Thank you for your courage. That's great. Let's clap and waste more time. Guess who's paying for all this? Us.
I now recognize Mr. Burchett from Tennessee for 5 minutes.
Oh, he is here. Thank
Thank
God.
you, Chair Lady, and thank you,
thank God.
Ranking Member Crockett. I see a lot of friends out there.
Thanks, Hayden.
And I see a couple enemies, so I'll
I love this guy.
remember that.
Oh my God.
It's a pleasure being here. I want to remind people too, this thing is an ongoing deal. We're not going to get this overnight. We've been fighting this battle, some of y'all, for 30 years and maybe longer. I hope we just keep focused on what we're trying to get to is total disclosure. We get a little wrapped up in a lot of things, but the government has something and they need to turn it over to us. We pay their dadgum salary. You pay our salary. and you ought to get more out of us than you do. And that's what disgusts me about this whole thing. I think they're just trying to run the clock out on us.
Yes.
Really.
This
they'll-
guy's great.
They'll poke us a little and they'll make jokes to us and try to pull us off the target. But I think we know where we're at. And that's why they're firing at us, because we are over the target. My first question is, Mr. Knapp, I recently introduced the UAP Whistleblower Protection Act to help provide whistleblower protection to federal personnel for disclosing the use of federal taxpayer funds to investigate UFOs. I still don't want to say UAPs.
Yeah, peace.
How can Congress further increase whistleblower protections?
I think you got to unleash the dogs and go track down the money and where it goes, because a lot of this stuff has been moved out of government.
Sure.
As you know, Rep. Burchett, it's been given to private contractors who stashed it away. They've had it for so long that there's nobody left inside government, or very few, who know where it is.
And they do that to keep us from FOIA, correct?
Yeah, it's to keep it from FOIA. And I think that the contractors who've had this stuff for a very long time set their own standards about who is allowed to know what. And it's a very small group that ever cracks that. I think Representative Luna has been looking at the use of classifications to hide things. I'm not sure that even this committee getting security clearances that should allow you to see this stuff would allow you to follow where it really goes.
I worry about the people that are looking at it, don't even know what they're looking at. I mean, it's gone through so many, since Roswell, for instance. I mean, you think there's nobody even alive that was around any of that stuff.
Yeah,
So
I don't think they've made much progress from the people that I've talked to. I don't think they've made much progress in learning that technology. Might have made some, but you wonder, the implication is Tic Tac. Oh yeah, that's ours. What flew over Washington, D.C. in 52, is that ours too? When are you going to break that out? You guys authorized tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars on weapon systems that can't do half of what we've seen UFOs do. So when do they break this out? If it's really a classified project, could change the world.
Yes, in the
I don't
50s,
think
a
they've
bunch
made
of
much
UFOs
progress
flew
on
over
that. I think
Washington,
they've been lying
D.C.
to us and to you and the rest of the world, and they're
There
still
are
doing it.
pictures.
yes, sir, I agree with you. How did you manage to obtain the classified Russian UAP documents, and how did you get them back in the United States?
Well, I met this Russian physicist who was in the United States lecturing.
And I want to
us.
clarify that. I can't even take a thing of honey home on my airplane when I fly back to Tennessee.
Yeah,
So
I did something pretty dumb.
and I'm bitter about it, but
Yeah.
go ahead.
I did something kind of dumb. I met with these officials who, during that time period, Glasnost, Perestroika, the Russians were trying to open up to the world. And I saw it as a window of opportunity, and it was. And we were able to talk these folks into providing us information that otherwise we would never have seen. Some of that was classified. I found out that they only stamped the top pages of these documents that were classified. So I just removed them. I removed those pages and I carried them out. And if they'd caught me, I'd be in a gulag still.
Yeah. We'd be saying, what happened to George Knapp?
What a
Oh,
G.
yeah. What happened to the Russians that came forward to you in 1993, and were there any repercussions for them?
Well, there were. The first thing that happened when I talked about this after getting back and going through the files and things and sifting through it, the Russian physicist who had helped us introduced all these people wrote back and said there was a huge eruption, that there was the real right, far autocratic forces that wanted a return of the USSR had really go after these guys. They described them as traitors.
Yeah,
Nikolai
don't say the
Kapranov,
right.
The physicist friend of mine said, look, if this had happened
The
5 years
right
earlier,
wouldn't have
we would
been
be in
for the
prison.
communism,
If it happened
George.
10 years earlier, we would have been shot. Luckily, at that point, Putin was not in power, but none of those people that we talked to on that trip in 1993 would ever talk to me again.
Or would
I went
they?
back in 1996 and it was like I had the plague. I spoke to different people, but they were scared. And eventually the story was spun where the Ministry of Defense officials who gave us this information were described as ufologists who said there was nothing really significant to these files. They didn't really find anything a big deal. And I can tell you, you'll see those files that I shared with you. They did find stuff. There was an incident in October of 1982 over an ICBM base where UFOs popped up, was observed over this base where the missiles are pointed at us, United States. These UFOs perform incredible maneuvers. They split apart, they fuse back together, they'd appear and disappear. And right at the end of this 4-hour period, the launch control codes for the ICBMs lit up. Something entered the correct codes. The missiles were fired up and ready to launch, and they could not shut it down. The Russian officers were panicking. The UFOs they disappeared. The launch control system goes back to normal. Colonel Sokolov and his team came in, took the thing apart, could not figure out what it was. It wasn't a power surge or
So
EMPs.
something like that
or
has
some of the
happened here
baloney
too,
excuses
multiple
that Our
times.
country has given for similar events
flexing.
involving our nuclear missiles.
Yes.
They thought it was a message from wherever the UFOs were from. And that's a chilling thing. I mean, we were a couple of seconds away from World War III starting, and the UFOs were responsible for it.
All right, I'm out of time, but real quick, who are the contractors that have this material? Corporations.
Well, one of them is Lockheed. And I'll tell you, I mean, I'm not saying Lockheed's the bad guys. They're doing what they were asked to do.
Sure.
They have lied about this because that's what they're supposed to do. But Lockheed would be one. There's a list I can give you, Congressman. Some of the big ones, the usual suspects.
Raytheon.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yield back, Chair Lady. Sorry for going over.
It's all good.
It's all George.
Cracker
Knapp's
Barrel.
fault.
I now recognize Ms. Bobert for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chief Wiggins, based on your training and operational experience, could the behavior that you witnessed, a transmedium object vanishing without a sound, be explained by any known technology that we possess or other governments possess?
It cannot.
And has any government agency debriefed you or any of your shipmates regarding the EOIR and radar confirmed UAP encounter aboard USS Jackson?
No one has, no, ma'am.
What was that encounter like when you brought that up? If you want to briefly summarize that, when you brought that to their attention, and then you were not
There's
provided
Grush
any
right there behind her.
follow-up, who was told?
Grush is
and
behind Bobert.
how did you
I
feel
mean,
when there was
a lot of dudes that want to be behind.
As far as the actual incident happening or the reporting limit,
Maybe have been.
it was within
A time or two?
the event happening. My duties are to
I'll
report to
I'll
the tactical
debrief
action
Bobert.
officer on watch while we're standing watch. So, tactical action officer was there.
I'm sure a
made my
lot of guys
report.
recognize her.
I've not had any
What did Gore say?
discussion outside
gotta-
of that
where's
day.
Gore?
There's been no communication to me or requests from me within inside of the military. But speaking of that actual incident itself, once the report was made to the tactical action officer, that's when I made the decision to ask the individual watchstander that was controlling Sapphire to be able to slew into the location. And that's what you see in the video itself is when the watchstander is slewing in and kind of showing us what we're looking at. But outside of that, that's as far as the reporting went that I know of.
Thank you, Chief. Just for the sake of time, Mr. Nuccetelli, has RO, the Air Force, or the FBI ever followed up with you personally about the Red Square event?
I did have follow-up by Aero, nothing with the Air Force. The Aero office updated me, I think, at least 2 times. They let me know that they were unable to locate any records, that the records had been destroyed by the Air Force. The Air Force is destroying all their police records every 3 years on a schedule. So
You were informed that these documents were destroyed.
well, I have a Freedom of Information Act from the Air Force. states
Most of them
clearly
are
that they destroy all
like
police
Epstein
records on a
files.
3-year schedule.
Okay.
Um,
So they were sitting on documentation, destroyed it, refused to question any of the lead investigators, anything leading into this investigation?
Yeah, basically they destroyed all the police records. So you couldn't even like call the Air Force and ask them if there was a vehicle accident in that time frame. So
Yeah.
that's a big problem. We're losing data in real time. So we'll never be able to go back and
I think our
track.
federal government has a history of
And
destroying
what are the
records.
aliens going to have to
Doc-
eat?
Thank you.
Like
Thank
in
you
War
very
of the
much, Mr.
Worlds.
Nuccetelli. Dr. Borland, as a geospatial intelligence officer, have you seen classified data indicating UAPs operate in restricted U.S. airspace? And has that information been withheld from Congress?
I have not in U.S. airspace. That is intelligence oversight, so I did not have domestic authorities.
After filing your Inspector General complaint over retaliation inside the Pentagon's UAP office, did you receive any kind of protection or just more retaliation?
Within the IG or Arrow, ma'am?
Either.
Arrow, they went after the staff member and classified everything, shut that down. The IG, to this day, I don't even know if my complaint's active. I know my attorney that represented me was very, very, very concerned. And the best of my understanding, I was determined credible, not urgent.
And do you think that experience would suggest that the internal UAP investigations may be compromised?
Possibly. I mean, it's so hard because this goes back to people doing the job they're told to do. And very few people are going to want to give up their careers, 20, 30-year pension, get rid of their kids' health care, get rid of their house. It's possible, yes.
Yes. Thank you very much, Dr. Borland. Mr. Spielberger, do national security whistleblowers currently have any external appeals processes to challenge retaliation, or are they just stuck relying on the same agencies that they're accusing?
Congresswoman, this is one of the biggest concerns that we at POGO have, basically around the independence of investigations and accountability for retaliation. Basically, yes, national security whistleblowers have to rely on internal administrative processes that go through agency inspector generals.
They have to trust the government going, oh, it's perfectly okay that you're a whistleblower. Come on in. You're under arrest. You're disappearing. We're going to threaten your family.
Forced to rely on protection from the same agencies and people who they are alleging retaliated against them.
Yes. Well, I thank you all for your bravery. We are out of time here. Thank you so much for coming forward, and we will do everything that we can.
It looks
to
like
ensure
Sabra
that you are all
on her
protected. Thank
on
you
her
for,
right, our
trying to
left.
bring truth and transparency to the American
From Captain
people.
African
Madam
American.
Chair, I yield.
I now recognize Mr. Burleson for about 5 minutes.
Thank you, everyone. It takes such great courage to come forward, and we acknowledge that, and I hope that you see that we are taking that seriously. And so very thankful for what you're doing
taking
today.
it seriously
I'm
for the fifth
very
time in a
thankful
row,
for previous
saying the
witnesses
same
that have come
shit.
forward. I see Matthew Brown in the audience. He courageously stepped forward.
Matthew Brown.
as a witness. I encourage
That was
everybody
to,
to look and seek
we
his
covered
testimony.
he was the
I wanna
latest
thank the
whistleblower.
people that came
Yeah.
in our
Stuff was
first
crazy.
hearing. Ryan Graves, David Grush, David Fravor. And in our second hearing, Admiral Gallaudet, Lou Elizondo, and Mr. Gold. And the many others that have come forward. We hear you, and it's time that we, enough is enough. It's time that we
Good
take
question.
action.
I say they
Look,
don't.
I'm not jumped to the conclusion that I believe that there are, aliens coming from another planet. But I'm open to that. And I think that it's our responsibility, especially when we're seeing that we have a government that is actively blocking information from us. Just last night, I tried to get an amendment onto the National Defense Authorization Act that fit in the germaneness of that bill to have UAP disclosure. And conveniently, it was named non-germane, mostly deemed by staff, not even an elected official. This is the kind of stuff that we repeatedly see. Last year, we were blocked by someone in House administration from being able to receive a full briefing from Arrow. So not an elected official, but someone in staff blocked us. And I've had it. Enough is enough. I want to cue up a video that I've been given. And as before it starts, I'm going to describe, this was taken October 30th of 2024. This video is of an MQ-9 drone tracking an orb, or this object, off the coast of Yemen. You'll see that another MQ-9 launched a Hellfire missile. That you cannot see that drone. And so I'm not going to explain it to you. You'll see exactly what it does.
All right. It's flying.
Mm-hmm.
We're waiting for a missile to be shot that we can't see. Oh, that.
Whoa.
Oh, that's way better.
This is when it zoomed out. So you can still see it traveling.
Oh, interesting.
Whoa.
But that's crazy. There's no consistent
So-
pattern.
But okay.
Mr. Knapp, do you have have you heard about
I have one problem
events
with
like
that
this
footage.
occurring? And what information might you have?
I have heard about events like this. I have heard about this event. Jeremy Corbell and I talked about it in one of our episodes a while back. We did not have the video, though. There are servers where there's a whole bank of these kind of videos.
So that happened.
that Congress has not been allowed to see.
That happened 30th October,
Occasionally,
Last year.
2024.
in the wild,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
it comes our way. It should be going to you. The public should be seeing this stuff. And why you're not allowed to, I don't know. But that's a Hellfire missile smacking into that UFO and just bounced right off. And it kept going.
It kept going.
What's
and it
up,
looks like the
person who's
debris was
messaging
taken
right
with
now
it.
who's telling me about all
What the hell
this?
is that?
How's
What-
it going? Thank
So,
you.
What flies like that?
Again, I'm not going to
Can't say who it
speculate what
is.
it is, but the question is, why are we being blocked from this information consistently? I want to ask this just question: how in the world? This is the document. I want to enter this in for the record if it hasn't already been entered, Madam Chair. The document
So
that you
ordered.
provided on thread 3. This is a huge file. How in the world did you smuggle this out of Russia?
Carefully.
In your socks?
He keistered it.
I don't think I want to be really specific about it because I might have to go back there and get some more sometime. Although,
Okay.
no, that'd be crazy to do that. Well, I took the top pages off that were stamped with the security signature, and I carried them out on my person. But the rest of them, I just threw in my suitcase and threw some caviar in there as a distraction as well, and hoped for the best. Otherwise, I'd be a citizen of Siberia right
That was
now.
actually good video that they just
And,
showed,
and
by
you
the
had
way.
you reported James Lakatsky came to you with government possession of NHI craft and how they ultimately gained entry. Can you testify to the veracity of that claim?
Dr. Lakatsky is an honorable man who served most of his career with the DIA, a very trusted, high-level rocket scientist and intelligence analyst who inspired the OSAP program, as I said earlier. And in full disclosure, I've co-written 2 books with him. He dropped this on myself and our other co-author out of the blue. And it took 14 months for us to get DOPSR approval for him to release 2 sentences on that. He said this craft, we had managed to get inside of it. It had no wings, no rotor, no tail. It had no fuel tanks. They didn't know how it flew or how it was operated. It clearly looked like it was aerodynamic, but he would not go further. He's a by the book guy. And until he gets clearance to say more about that, I don't think we're going to hear much more, but it's not ours. It wasn't ours. We didn't make it. We didn't know who made it and how it was built and how it operated. We've got at least one. And I don't know, I think that's enough confirmation that we do have recovered
Leslie-
discs and materials.
Leslie, Mr. Borland, in the classified realm, have you been exposed to undeniable confirmation of NHI technology? And then my second question is Base Systems involved in any way with reverse engineering exploitation of non-human intelligence craft?
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a conversation this year for that. Whether I'm legally even allowed to answer that, and whether you're even allowed to hear it, sir.
Okay. Again, you can sense our frustration. And so I just want to thank you for coming forward. We will continue to fight because look, this is about making sure that this government belongs to the people and restoring the republic the way it was intended to be. Madam Chair, I also have further witnesses of courageous individuals. It was given to me by Dr. Stephen Greer, including Michael Herrera and his testimony. We have Roderick Castle and his testimony, Randy Anderson, his testimony,
Skiffing it up.
Stephen Digna, and others, 3 others, all saying similar things to what the witnesses today have said. And I would like to enter that into the record as well.
No objection.
Thank you.
I now recognize Representative Lee for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we need to make sure that we don't get distracted by sensational stories only of unidentified anomalous phenomena and lose track of what the core of this hearing is about. This is all a perfect example of why whistleblowers are so important and why it's so important that we step up and protect them. With Trump, RFK Jr., EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, and others committed to dismantling government and firing professionals who do dare to speak out against the threats this administration's disastrous policies create. We have to focus on protecting
Fuck
all
off.
whistleblowers, not only the ones who are reporting on UAP. I'd like to thank the whistleblowers who have agreed to come before the committee today.
Yeah, because
and speak their
Biden wasn't
truth.
doing any of that.
This administration's claims to care about waste, fraud, and abuse. And so often it is the whistleblowers who care and who are the tip of the sword fighting against the real waste, fraud, and abuse. One study found that whistleblowers expose fraud at more than twice the rate of third-party auditors. So, Mr. Spielberger, what are some of the best examples of whistleblowers exposing fraud and abuse in the federal government?
Thank you, Congresswoman. Again, whistleblowers have played such a vital role across so many different
All right,
issues.
so-
One prominent example goes back to the 2014 VA waitlist scandal. Pogo actually played a very
Okay.
instrumental role.
Sorry, we're going to talk about UFO stuff here. So I'm talking
of America
via text
tips and whistleblower
with
disclosures from over
a government
800
person.
individuals
Hmm.
about the VA subjecting veterans
I'm trying to get, I was trying to just figure out what
intensive wait times in order to
what
get
we saw.
basic,
I guess I can't say anything now. Never mind.
Do we got to go to the skiff, Gary?
We got to go to the skiff. So with that video we saw, it clearly looked like something glowing, right? And then it got hit by the missile, and I saw the pieces. So that was the missile breaking up, right?
Oh, okay. Well,
Because I
the
kind of thought it was the craft
original
breaking,
object.
but then continuing to move. So I'm gonna have to go look at it. What sucks is that cut happens, which is sus. But that cut happens and it zooms out, and you can still see it. So to me, that would probably be pieces of the missiles. She's probably gonna bitch about Trump. You know what, Trump getting rid of people in the government. Chirp.
So
Jesus Christ, Burchett must be just fun.
One that I'd like to highlight that Mr. Borland referenced previously is retaliation through abuse of the security clearance process. That can have grave implications, not
So,
just for a
yeah.
whistleblower, but also their ability to seek legal.
Yeah, because Trump is super tight with the three-letter agencies. I mean, they're just buds.
Several months of this administration.
The three-letter agencies that tried to falsely investigate him. Yeah.
Dismantling the nonpartisan civil service.
Okay, hang on.
We've seen undermining of independent agency watchdogs, mass firings of inspectors general, undermining the Office of Special Counsel, the Merit Systems Protection Board. Again, these entities that are meant to be independent and play a critical role in investigating whistleblower disclosures and ensuring that their rights are protected.
Yeah. Thank you. In 1989, Congress passed the Whistleblower Protection Act and then broadened it again in 2012 to ensure that federal workers could feel free to come forward to their elected officials. And it's a good thing.
I'd rather watch the video again than.
A more important role than ever.
We can go back.
Nah, I'll just talk over her. I have no fucking desire to hear what this dingbat has to say.
I
don't
kind
really
of
care.
wish we had a Joe Rogan in this field that was just so good at interviewing whistleblowers, and then they could have the anonymity and protection so that we can hear.
There's too many Miss Lees in government, and Miss Crockett's, and even Nancy Mace's that are just there. It's performative. This is a fucking script. Glenn Beck came out and told the story. I'll be very brief about how he got called into the White House. He got berated by George W. Bush, because he said something George W. Bush didn't like. So fucking they flew him to fucking Washington to chew him out. And then after the argument was over, to calm Glenn Beck down, he's all, listen, don't worry about any of this stuff. Okay. We're getting advised by the same people as the last president and the president before him, and it sunk into Glenn then, something we've all known, but I think it just hearing it out loud, it sunk into Glenn that, oh, this is all performative theater, because who really runs the country are these unelected, nameless, and sometimes not nameless officials in the State Department who stay there forever, and they just bring in the latest puppet. And listen, they've said this forever. You know, there's that Bill Hicks joke where it's like, you know, president has one, I think it was Bill Hicks. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. Where they bring the latest president in to the White House and show him another angle of the Kennedy assassination. And they go, okay, here's your policy. You know, that's what it is. You know, and love him or hate him, Trump's the first guy who doesn't listen to these people, who refuses to, is at war with the government apparatus, which is fighting for its life. And look at the deep state is deep and it's going to outlive Trump. Hate to say that, but and what's crazy is ufology has known about the deep state and been shamed about the deep state forever, for fucking ever. And seeing some of the people in the ufology now work with the deep state is disappointing, to say the least. You know, you want to talk to as many people as possible, and like Harry Reid, whatever, but James fucking Clapper, that does more damage to ufology than anything. Putting James Clapper in a fucking... James Clapper is one of those really credible intelligence people who signed off on the Russian dossier shit.
Currently in the Navy, is that correct?
Correct.
Did you believe in UFOs before your encounter?
I did. I'm from Las Vegas, and I've watched George Knapp my whole life.
Okay. What
There you
about
go.
you, Mr. Borland?
I have always been open to where facts go. So,
Were you guys scared or hesitant to come forward and tell your story because of fear and believing that you might be reprimanded or ostracized from society because of your stories? Mr. Nuccetelli?
Yes, absolutely. I probably would not have come forward if I didn't have documentation to prove some of my story. And I also wouldn't have come forward without the people that paved the way for us in, you know, the first congressional hearing. So,
Chief, what about you?
Once I got the okay from the Navy from top down, that gave me a level of relief. Prior to that, I didn't have any thought left or right of that, but thank the Navy to give me the go ahead, and that gave me the relief that I would not have any level of reprisal or anything happen to me.
Mr. Borland, how about you?
absolutely. I mean, after I went through everything, it was pretty clear that I caused a major issue in the executive branch. So I did what I was supposed to do. And that's why I haven't spoken publicly. That's why I'm happy to be here. This is how I wanted this to be done in regards to me.
Mr. Borland, why do you think that you faced reprimand and discipline for your effort to come forward and be transparent about what you saw?
About what I saw is the reason why I got into what I know and has been disclosed to Arrow and the IG. And I think that information, well, it was labeled an extremely sensitive national security issue.
Thank you. Mr. Knapp, I've watched many of your videos on Joe Rogan and other places. One of the big questions, I think, for many of us is, why do you believe that the federal government refuses to be transparent about this issue?
I think there's probably multiple reasons. At the start, when these things first started invading our skies in large numbers, we were scared. It was right after World War II, and we didn't know what they were, and they didn't want to panic the public, and that was probably a good call. Over time, I think the lying sort of became institutionalized. You know, flights over Washington, D.C. in 1952, they're seen, they're captured on radar, jets are chased after these objects, and then we get an explanation it was a temperature inversion. And those kind of lies have been told for a long time. What was told to me by an investigator from Congress, a guy named Richard D'Amato, who was sent after this story by Robert Byrd and Harry Reid. He came out to Nevada, tried to get into Area 51, did get in there, looked around, talked to people, trying to get to the bottom of it. He believed that this program, reverse engineering, et cetera, was inside, had been moved inside these corporations. And he said, when this comes out, people are going to go to prison. And he meant people who were basically misusing legitimate national security funds, tens of billions of dollars, in order to keep this cover up going. I also believe there's a legitimate reason for the cover up, in that there is undeniable connection of national security involved in this technology. If we are racing for it to master that technology against the Russians and the Chinese, which is what I have been told by Senator Reid and many others, then it is a race that's critical to our survival. there could be a form of disclosure, I think. Yes, it's real. It's from somewhere else without revealing all the details that would allow someone else to have an advantage in the race for this technology.
Thank you. Finally, I'd like to enter into the testimony a letter I sent to the DOD regarding the case of Major David Charles Grush, a UAP whistleblower who's been extremely helpful to this committee. Unfortunately, due to his participation in the disclosure of UAP, he suffered reprisal like the removal of his clearance, denial of promotion, and loss of medical retirement. I wrote the DOD on July 24th, 2025 on behalf of Major Grush, and I'm still waiting for a reply. I appreciate any help the committee can offer to get a response. Thank you. I yield back.
Without objection, we'll be following up with the DOD after this hearing. Thank you.
Okay,
Representative
we're gonna
Crane.
have to
I'd like to
stop right there.
recognize
X-ray girl,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
For 5 minutes.
Yeah,
It's
I gotta.
time.
It's time. I gotta read some soup
Luna for
before I head over to real BBC.
So I got to get going because my appointment.
Yeah, you get
there's
going.
Traffic.
You get going. I'm gonna get through these and then I'm gonna run right over to real BBC. But thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, X-ray girl. She's got shit to do. So that footage later on was really good. I gotta say that was good. I don't know if it was worth 2 hours for, but that's good. But so I have to get through these and we will get through them and then I'm going to run over to BBC. So Lewis C for $10 says, today we are here to talk about disclosure, UFOs, and yes, twins. Matthew Hammond for $2. I predict this will provide little to no info, and you'd be right. Want to shout out some great Forbidden Frontier channels for everyone. Give a watch to The Mysterious Middle East and Hammerson Peters. Both are phenomenal paranormal channels. Go check them out. Thank you, Simple Jack, for $10. Matthew Hammond for $2. We need to play UFO disclosure bingo. You know, we wouldn't have done that well on the skiff drinking game kind of later on. I mean, I would drink coffee, but you guys can drink whatever you want. Accident in a Cellar for 20 Norwegian kroner says, Anna Paulina Luna, can I have your... Yeah, we already showed that one. Did aliens cause Miss Crockett's code switching? Eric K, it's coming right at us. It's coming right for us. Well, that is what she said. That's what she said. Gamer Crusader for $10 says those aren't aliens. They're demons. Jesus Christ is the only way to stay safe. Trust in him. Well, they could be both. They could be both. You never know. Well, I love, oh boy, Garrett, or not Garrett, Eric. Well, I love a rainy night. I love a rainy night. Watch the lightning when it lights up in the skies. You know, it makes me feel good. Well, I love a rainy night. Thank you, Eric. Surviving the Strange for $5. Gary, would you and some of the Forbidden Frontier crew be down for some field investigations to high strangeness sometimes? Yes, absolutely. And we're playing phone tag with somebody right now, but we are working towards field investigations. Yes, that is one of the goals. Magnum Norris, we showed a lot of his tweets, but a lot of his super chats. Thank you for it. But Magnum Norris for 50 says this is a global communist takeover and we need to deny these assholes. They want to destroy Western society, Western way of life, and civilization itself. The commies clearly won the Cold War, but they will lose the hot one. And like I said, when I showed that, they just rebranded, brother. And you know that. Keep fighting, brother. Let's see. Where was I? As is Wonky Eyebrow for $2. Says, Casper Site would be a great guest for UFO stuff. Okay. That'll be fine, Mr. Knapp. We'll step aside, says Magnum Norris. Southeastern Kaiju says, it's happening. I know. Ride the Guy for $5. I thought we already defeated the aliens. I remember watching a documentary called Independence Day. It was real. Ved Sela for 50 Norwegian krona. The government doesn't want to protect whistleblowers. You don't reckon they would have made Snowden disappear if they could? Yes, exactly. Magnum Norris for $5. Senator McCarthy was correct on every level about communism. Yes, I was just watching some fucking director just spurg out about McCarthy. He was showing a Orson Welles speech about a director who gave up names for the communists who were blacklisted. By the way, they were all communists. Yes, they got blacklisted. And what's funny is Hollywood still complains about this to this very day while blacklisting people, while doing the same fucking thing. They're all a bunch of hypocrites, man. I would like to recognize Mrs. Luna, says Southeastern Kaiju. So would a lot of people. Chris from Michigan for $5 just sent you an audio recording to your email of me telling my personal UFO story. Let me know what your thoughts. I'll check it out. Thank you. Shatapar for $5. Cute. How he calls it your video instead of the Navy's video. Yeah, that always listen to the terminology and the framing. Accidental Seller for 20 says, what the fuck? Mace aged 20 years with that hair and glasses. She was always that old. But yeah. More chance of you watching RRR than Disclosure here. Chris would agree. Chris from Michigan for $5. I hate how each member asks the same general questions at the as the last person wastes the time in an effort to get a soundbite for themselves. I know it's such, and we paid for this. I wonder how much it costs. I mean, even if it costs like 10 grand, what a fucking waste of 10 grand. We don't need all the other people there. We need whatever government officials are asking questions and the people who are getting asked questions. We don't need, it's such fucking theater. Like, I like Jeremy Corbell, but like the way everything's set up, it's theater. We don't need fucking theater. We need authenticity. We need truth. I know I'm living in a fucking dream world. I can hear you. You're like, oh, you sweet summer child. And you're right. Big Trouble Media for $1.99. Where did her ghetto accent go? Comes and goes. Accidental Seller for 20. Whistleblowers, that a lot of whistles been blown. A lot of whistles been blown. Robot News for $5. She thinks there are whistleblowers holding back on Trump is why she cares. She doesn't care about UAP or groups on her side. No. That Democratic Party only cares about Trump. They don't care about people. They don't care about policy. They just care about having TDS. We don't want to lose sight. We're at a UFO. We're at the thing is called transparency through UFO disclosure. And she's like, we don't want to lose sight on the important thing. Trump. We got to get Trump. Chirp. Jeff Strong, Crockett's such a dumbass. She literally said recently that the police's job is not to prevent or deter crime, but to only solve crime. Window lickers. David Breen for €5. Am I the only one that believes this is a waste of taxpayer money and does not believe in UFOs? I believe in UFOs. It's still a waste. Both can be true, though. It's kind of a waste of taxpayers' money, but we cover them all here. We do. We did get a good video out of it, but they could have just released that and saved us all a bunch of fucking money. Bobert seems like a fun girl to take to the movies. Yes. Ride the Guy for $5. I'm offended by the term alien. They are undocumented as extraterrestrials. Absolutely correct. Accidental Seller for 50 Norwegian krona. Miss Bobert, you know, I'm somewhat of a whistleblower myself. Mr. Burleson has computer screen reflection in his glasses. According to anime, that means he's a villain. Behold a pale horse, Bill Cooper. Says Nick Tomato. Nick Tomato, by the way, he was an American. These things were always here before us. You're right, Nick Tomato. Read the Bible. Hey, one of the only things, Nick Tomato, one of the only things I've ever gotten an A on in anything. One of the brief moments I briefly went to San Diego City College, and my teacher was Cameron Crowe's mom. Cameron Crowe, the director of Almost Famous, writer of Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And it was UFOs in the Bible, UFOs from the Bible. I had written this whole paper about it. Maybe I still have it. I got an A. Nick Tomato, over 3,000 years ago, you know, well over 3,000 years ago. Okay, we're going to wrap it up there. I want to thank you. I want to thank you all. I don't have my x-ray girl hair. By the way, yes, WG for 50. The Men in Black, their lips are sealed. Take me away, Blue Oyster Cult. Blue Oyster Cult's a great band. As this hearing takes place, Three-Eye Atlas is heading towards the sun. Creepy? No. Even if it's a natural, what a time to be alive. Okay, enough supers. I'm broke now. Okay, dude, thank you, Accidental Seller. Normal world, if we were shouting out shows. Normal world. There we go. Go to normal world. All right. Blonde, tall, blue eyes. I don't know what the first part is, but thank you. All right. Join me over at Real BBC in 2 minutes. If I missed any, I'll get them on the square up. That'll be Thursday night. I appreciate everybody listening, and I'm sure it's still going on. Hopefully we're not going to miss another video. There was one good video out of it. There was one good video that we will analyze on Forbidden Frontier. But thank you to the Nerdrotics. Thanks to everyone who loves Super Chat and donation. You help keep the lights on. Thanks for supporting Forbidden Frontier. Thanks to X-Ray Girl. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you Sunday, or I'll see you in 2 minutes. Bye-bye.